Hello. Today we visit an old r/AskReddit post to ask what are your worst college roommate horror stories. Make sure to comment if you had any weird roommates and if so, how many? I personally had two. I know, lucky me. With that, sit back and enjoy. First, off-campus college roommate. Let's call her Carla. She was really friendly to start with. We had a couple really good weeks together, then our other roommate moved in. Apparently they had been roommates the year previous together, and she got very jealous when I developed a relationship with our other roommate. Let's call her June. Fast forward to the winter. Carla hates my guts and barely talks to me and finds little things to freak out about. Yeah, it sucks. I try to smooth things out by cleaning more and buying her pumpkin spice lattes every couple weeks because you know white girls. Finally, one night we have a huge argument because she wants me to clean her dishes along with mine. Nah man, do your own shit, she's yelling at me. I take a step out of the apartment. Now remember, it's winter, and it's like ducking 11 p.m. I don't have shoes, I'm in my PJs. The girl locks me out. Finally, June hears me pounding on the door and lets me in. I am pissed as hell. Carla is laughing her ass off. I don't say a word and get over it. My boyfriend comes over and cooks breakfast with me. We head out to get coffee and get back an hour later. We find all of our food we left on the counter in a ducking bag along with a bottle of uncapped vinegar. She spoiled about $25 of perfectly good food. My boyfriend asks her when she comes out of her room to not touch our things. She throws a ducking hissy fit. Radio silence resumes in the apartment. Finally, the last straw, she decides to clean the bathroom we share for the first time. Yay, good for Carla, finally an olive branch. I go to brush my teeth, and bubbles. Ducking weird-ass bubbles and the unmistakable taste of bleach. She sprayed my toothbrush by accident. I decide it's an accident, toss it out, not make a big deal of it. The next ducking day I brush my teeth. The same ducking thing. I go to vent to June, and she tells me ducking Carla had just gone and bragged to her about bleaching my toothbrush as some sort of weird-ass revenge. Duck you, Carla. Freshman year I got bunked up with an extra roommate due to over-enrollment. A cramped dorm room with 3 guys in it. For a while things were pretty fun and we were all friends. But after about 2 months one roommate had a few disgusting habits. First, he, instead of walking literally across the hallway to the bathroom, he would pee in empty or half-empty Gatorade bottles and just let them sit in the open. That was gross. But then he started shitting in takeout boxes and letting them sit all night or day until me and other roommate got back to yell at him. The third thing is he had a shoebox collection of used condoms be masturbated into. The smell was so horrendous and awful. It took the RA and whoever else in charge of housing a month to finally relocate me and the other guy and eventually kick the gross dude out. So for nearly an entire semester at any time you could walk into our room and see a shit in a container with leftovers still in it. A mosaic of different colored piss bottles. Or a soggy shoebox on his desk filled with used condoms. He never went to class and would play video games on his computer until 5 a.m. every day. I still think back on it nearly 10 years ago and am blown away with how long it took for any administrative intervention to happen. I mouthed, "What the actual duck?" to myself so many times while reading that. How did you cope all that time? Spent some nights in the library or couch crashing at a friend's. Sometimes yelling at him enough would get him to clean up and at least keep his nasty cum box locked away. But after a couple days he would start filling bottles and boxes again. The guy had no shame, no hygiene and no respect for those around him. Horrible guy destined to live in a shitty basement apartment bouncing from one minimum wage job to the next. Late to the game, but here it goes. My favorite roommate story is from freshman year. My roommate came home drunk one night and wandered into the dorm basement. She was too drunk to find a bathroom, so she peed in the dryer. Not the washing machine. The dryer. I'm half horrified, half impressed, given the fact it was a front loader. And in an incredible twist of fate, the next day she forgot her clothes in the washing machine. Some kind gentleman paid to put them in the dryer for her. And it just so happened that it was the one she peed in the night before. My roommate was a born-again Christian who did not allow alcohol or women in the room. If he saw alcohol he would go to the floor manager and demand a room check since we were not allowed on campus. The floor manager would come in and ask, "Do you have alcohol?" and I would reply, "No." The floor manager would try to leave and the roommate would burst in from the hallway and say, "Yes, he does," but would not find it. I hid it in his closet every time. He never figured that part out. Literally the same process would happen with women in the dorm after 11 p.m. Same two-act play, same hiding place. He would always scream about the women when they came in. "My mama didn't raise me to shack up with no woman," was his favorite phrase. I asked more and more women to come in and stay until exactly 10:59 p.m. every night. Eventually he dropped out of college from the stress. I guess I am the monster. I had a roommate who was racist and obsessed with World War II Nazi. Thought it was just in a History Channel kind of way. He chose to read Mein Kampf for a class. Then he started writing juvenile bathroom graffiti in German in the stalls. He became upset when he found out I dated a black girl in high school. Then the swastikas started showing up graffiti in the dorm elevator, along with the N-word drawn in a noose. He had a knife collection. He seriously came back after the first week with an end table, folding lounge chair, and an easy chair, despite the fact that the room had no real extra space for any of it. He smelled, and tried to get rid of the room smell with a whole can of peach renews-it one day. He left food garbage in his trash, left for the weekend, and when I emptied it because it was smelling, he got mad at me for touching his stuff. Said he'd take care of me if I did it again. He said he hated kids. He was a special ed major. I asked why he majored in that if he hated kids. He said, "There are 52 special ed majors in this school and I am one of only 2 guys. Moved out the start of next semester, as soon as they'd let me. Paid the extra money for a single the next year." Edit, looked him up. Found a picture of himself in blackface and some creepy black and white photos. Edit 2. No, there is nothing wrong with reading Mein Kampf, having a knife collection, or not liking kids in and of themselves. Context, people. Context. This guy is 7 different assholes for the price of 1. That's value right there. My roommate was this geeky 400-pound guy who watched Sailor Moon in the original Japanese. He had a tiny red-headed girlfriend who regularly beat the shit out of him in daily life, and he let her. On like 6 p.m. on a Thursday, he suddenly asks me if I can vacate the dorm room until 11, as they're going to have some romantic time. I was a little pissed he gave me no warning, but left anyways. I got back at midnight and walk into a scene of her in black vinyl bondage gear with a riding crop and a taxi driver's hat, riding him, with him covered in welts from head to toe. Noped the hell right out of there. My roommate kidnapped 2 guys and held them for ransom. One hostage was set free weeks later while the other wasn't so lucky. The body was eventually found in a basement cemented and buried in the ground. The cops busted into the flat. I rented a room in an apartment he lived in it before I moved in, and apprehended my roommate while he was sleeping. Tried for kidnapping and manslaughter along with his other few associates. This was in Ontario, Canada around 2011 to 2012. I never really followed the story after I moved the hell out and learned that they were all in jail. My roommate was Sohaib Malik. He seemed like a normal, nice dude. Student at the local university. Had no problems with him, aside from him using my kitchen knife without permission. I had a university flatmate who was a bit crazy. It started out with her just stealing my food. I couldn't leave anything in the kitchen for more than 12 hours or she'd have it, and she would putting passive-aggressive notes up in our kitchen calling me a liar. I have food allergies but apparently I was making them up. She was nasty to anyone I had over. She took all my crockery and put it on top of the cupboard so I couldn't reach it and I had to climb up and get it all down. She then convinced all of the guys in my flat to take the kitchen furniture and pile it outside my door so I couldn't get out of my room. I got the flu. She spent a day screaming at me through the wall whilst I alternately cried and slept until my parents came and drove me home. It got to the point where I was considering dropping out of university, but I asked to be put in another flat as a last resort. I got moved into a flat with 5 guys and it was so much messier but so much nicer. Edit, some people are suggesting that I did something to make her this crazy. I didn't do anything, that's why her behavior was just not understandable in any way. I had my own friends, I kept the kitchen tidy when I used it, I didn't make noise late at night, whatever. She was just looking for a punching bag. Apparently the other people in your flat were assholes as well. If someone in my dorm had asked me to do this I would have assumed the victim was their good friend and it was a funny prank. I still wouldn't have helped, because I wouldn't be sure. And even if I was sure, I was still lazy and asocial and humorless. But I think that their accomplicehood can potentially be forgiven as ignorance and good faith. My roommate once invited a girl that was kicked out of her house to stay with us. Keep in mind our dorm room was barely larger than a prison cell. I listened to them duck on the bottom bunk more times than I care to remember. Your roommate definitely thinks you're the shitty roommate for not leaving when they wanted to have adult fun time. Oh my god, this brings back bad memories. My first year, one of my roommates had his girlfriend over for the weekend. He asked me and my other roommate last minute to clear out for 30 minutes on football Sunday so they could get it on. This was like the fourth time he had asked that weekend, with us agreeing each time. But whatever, he didn't get to see his girlfriend that often, fair enough. I leave and come back 45 minutes later. She's still there but they're just talking, and the door was open. All clear, right? Around 10 minutes later, he asks me to give them a second, and I tell him I'll be in the lounge and to text me when I'm good to come back. He didn't text me. I stayed there over an hour waiting, then once a friend walked through, I asked him to check if they were even still in our room. Nope. He just left and never told me, while I wasted an hour not watching football. He brought this up in an argument months later saying that I was an ass for walking in well after the time he had asked me to stay out, and that he purposefully didn't text me because he was pissed. What the duck? How am I the asshole when I agreed to every single thing he asked? How am I supposed to know that, door wide open and just sitting on the bed chatting, is code for, stay out? Now I'm angry about this all over again. I haven't seen him around the university in forever, so I hope he dropped out. Freshman year college had bunk beds. Drunk roommate comes home before me. He sleeps on top. He drank too much. He wet the bed. Like an open fire hydrant apparently. I came home later and sat down in a flash flood puddle on mine soaked to the core. Needless to say I threw it in the shower and told him to get me a new one. Edit, apparently this is not that uncommon. And the magic pee theory still holds up. Dollars to donuts, he just drunkenly pissed on it before climbing up to his. I had a friend who confusedly peed on the pile of dirty clothes in his closet once. Nope. Sequence of events. I get home. Sit on bed. Squish, sound. Ass is wet. What the duck? Feel mattress above from where I'm sitting. It's wet. Stand up. Look at him sleeping in soaked sheets above. Proceed to yell at him. I'll take some Boston and Bavarian cream donuts. Edit. Yes, I realize I get dollars in the bet. Rather have the donuts since they are almost a $1 anyways and it will be extra work for the other person to get them. My first roommate, oh the memories. Very heavy, very socially awkward and definitely psychotic. Often mumbled to himself with shifty eyes, ate my food, and was either railing against the evils of religion out trying to get me to join the Army of the Virgin or some other Catholic sect. He often lounged around in his tidy whities and refused to clothe himself if I had guests or girls over. He would just sit down and put a blanket over his lap. I walked in on him jacking it or blaring porn a number of times, with which he used my tissues. He would also have long phone arguments with his girlfriend, who according to the wallet photo he had of her, was Greedley from Captain Planet. The kicker for me was when he had a breakdown and called the RA and a counselor in to talk with him while I was writing a paper. He is highly agitated and at one point said, I just looked over at Demon Juices while he was asleep and thought to myself I should just take out my knife and kill him there myself. No offense Demon Juices. I was in the zone with the paper so I automatically replied, none taken, then did a double take as the horror dawned on me. Nonplussed eye contact with my RA. Noped the duck out and moved to a different floor. This will probably be buried but hopefully someone can benefit from my past misery. Not my story, but a friend's. My friend had a foreign roommate her freshman year who appeared to be the best roommate one could ask for. She was quiet, clean, and rarely there. She also baked on occasion. First semester goes by smoothly, my friend is loving life. College rocks. Midway through her spring semester, my friend starts noticing that sometimes when she goes to take her birth control each day, it's not always there. She chalks it up to absent-mindedness the first few times, but then she starts paying closer attention and becomes sure that she's not just being forgetful. The immediate suspicion falls on her roommate, of course, being that she's the only other person with daily access to the room. My friend has a casual talk with her and her roommate seems confused and slightly offended that she'd even ask if she could be responsible. My friend believes the best of people and tries to shake it off. Weeks go by without incident, until one day my friend returns home from a class that got cancelled early. She walks into her room to literally catch her roommate red-handed. There she is, on my friend's side of the room with the little package in her hand. My roommate doesn't have much of a temper but obviously has no choice but to confront her then and there. Her roommate breaks down in tears and tells her that she got pregnant over spring break and is trying to get rid of the baby by taking birth control after the fact. My roommate is stunned and horrified. She ends up contacting the RA, who contacts the roommate's parents, who pull her out of school. No idea what happened to her after that. People are crazy. Edit. I asked my friend more about what happened since it's been about 5 years since I first heard the story told. She told me that her roommate was very well educated. The conversation they had the day my friend caught her was more along the lines of, "I think I'm pregnant but not 100% sure. I'm just really stressed out with school and don't have time to deal with this right now." Then my friend going to her RA didn't happen behind her roommate's back. She told her, "I think we should tell the RA." Apparently my friend ended up helping her move out of their dorm. It turns out she had some mental health issues going on, mostly depression and anxiety, and it had been her idea to contact her parents for some time off. I guess this whole situation was like her rock bottom. Also, my friend is still friends with her via Facebook, and it turns out she wasn't pregnant. Or at least that's what it looks like from my friend's side of the silent relationship. Edit 2. All parents were involved in the aforementioned drama because the students associated decided to involve them. No one snitched. No RA called home. Stop judging students' choices or the chain of command. Parents were involved because their children told them what was going on. Chill. I had a housemate, 4-person house who I asked to take care of my dog over one weekend. I never left any of the responsibilities associated with my dog up to anyone else because the rest of the guys were doing me a favor by letting me have him there anyways. This one housemate wasn't a huge fan of the dog, and when I came home after the weekend, there was shit and piss in my room where presumably my dog was kept most of the weekend. His food and water were in there too, so I guess that's something. He was really skittish when I went to say hi to him, so I think my housemate hit or kicked him while I was gone. Sharon used to eat in her room and then slide the plate under her bed. She'd do this every day until my other roommate and I couldn't bear the stink anymore, and needed plates for our own dinner. She also regularly invited her drug dealer boyfriend over to hang out in our apartment during the day. Several times I came home to find deals taking place in our living room. Eventually the cops were called by one of our neighbors and we, not him, were interrogated and searched. Oh, and there's the time she left a sanitary towel, sunny side up, on the toilet seat in our shared bathroom. I could go on. Go on. She had some kind of fungal scalp condition that caused her hair to fall out in clumps, which we would frequently have to pull out of plug holes. Then she announced she had scabies and I decided to just lock myself in my room until she moved out. Bizarrely, according to Facebook, she seems to have grown up to become a normal functioning adult. With that, thank you for watching all the way until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you had any weird roommates and if so, how many. If you want to continue to watch my content, click one of the videos above. Until next time.